Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. I'm gonna get this right, I promise. All right, um, so I have some Laker health news, and it's really interesting because these two players have the same exact status. However, on one hand, it's very good news. Good news. On the other hand, it's not so good news. You got LeBron James and Anthony Davis doubtful for the next game. Now, on in LeBron's case, you can obviously say that this is something that you're very concerned about because he twisted his ankle pretty much identically. Is that a word? Identically to Anthony Davis's. If they slowed it down and showed the still on it, LeBron's ankle touched the floor just like AD's. And the difference, in my humble opinion, is that LeBron James um, is somewhat bow-legged, and I know this is gonna sound kind of silly, but LeBron James is bow-legged to such a degree, so it looked like um, such an injury didn't take as much of a punishment as say AD's did, who has more kind of like well, just different shaped legs more or less. And to me, it just seemed like LeBron James is kind of built in such a way to be able to withstand certain injuries to his lower extremities because of that bow leg. Um, to me, which was ironic because when I was a kid watching him grow up, I used to say that I was always concerned about him as a player because I had never seen a player who was bow-legged, um, have a lot of success and be as athletic as he is. I had just never seen it. You know what I mean? All the players that I had seen who were bow-legged usually didn't really have a lot of athleticism, couldn't do a whole lot. They could shoot, but you know, I just felt like his legs were shaped in such a way where I thought it would be a disadvantage for him, and rather, it's actually been an advantage for him. And I think he's been able to handle and maintain his body just as a testament to him taking care of it. But I think some of that stuff has to do with how the man's built. To be completely honest with you, I would just look at the situation now and say I'm thankful. On the other hand, in terms of AD being listed as doubtful, because obviously we've been waiting for him to come back and want him to be healthy and have a fresh um, fresh outlook about his season, given the fact that it's been just a tough season for him as well as for the rest of the team. So uh, you commend him for wanting to fight his way back. Obviously the Lakers are still mathematically within a position to make the playoffs, and you just understand that both of these players are going to try to give it their all to get out there. I don't think it would hurt the Lakers to just let LeBron James obviously sit this next game, probably sit the next two games. Um, you know what I mean? And just let it be what it's going to be. It's only 8 games left. Um, you know, obviously the risk of them getting further injured is there. Smart money says just call it a season, but I just think that the Lakers are going to just ride this thing out until they're mathematically not in a position to do so. I think if they decide that they ultimately don't want to make it, um, they'll probably just lose the next 2 games and then just sit the players for the rest. You know, like I could totally see us just basically tanking these next 2 games to mathematically remove ourselves from the situation so that we can have the excuse of just resting these players, because really that is the only thing left to do. Um, After losing that Pelican game, you just understand that we're not good enough of a team to really do anything. Even if AD comes back, if he gives us everything, we got an unhealthy LeBron James, an unhealthy THT. Kendrick Nunn is still out. I mean, in my mind, you just really just want to end the season healthy. To be completely honest with you, end the season healthy, man. That is really it, and prepare for next year, because I don't see us being a very good team going into the playoffs if we don't have a healthy set of superstars. Even if we did have the greatest role playing core, you know what I mean? Even if we did, there's no way you're going to beat who we have to go up against in these playoffs um, without Bron and AD being 100%. So, yeah, I think the smartest thing to do is to just lose these next couple games and then rest AD and Bron for the rest of them, and start strategizing about how you're going to acquire some assets. My strategy has always made a lot of sense. to me, which is to go the G League route, fill your team up full of G League players, and midway through the season, the ones that are any good, that are really, really good, you make a decision on. The ones that aren't any good, you replace with more G League players. In the second half of the season, you try to create more opportunities to get diamonds in the rough on your squad. Your record's going to be bad, but you're going to strike it gold with about 4 or 5 of those guys. And that's going to be your bread and butter. That's going to carry you forth. Either you're going to use them as a trade piece to get better, or you're going to get a couple of draft picks, not draft picks, excuse me, a couple of free agents to come in and either lead them or complement them, depending on what they turn into. And you're just going to slowly but surely build your asset class over time. Your asset catalog, rather. It's something that I think the Lakers don't want to do, but because we have the locale of LA, we should be able to get the free agents. It's not like we're looking at this situation and saying it's going to take forever for us to get better. No, we just have to get the players that fit the vision that ultimately we're going to develop, which is something you need to be thinking about right now. Develop a vision for the team, and then execute that vision. Don't look so much at what LeBron James' timeline is about. Just start over. And for those who are saying, "Oh, well, if you start over, it's a chance it doesn't work out," or if you start over, what if you strike out on your draft picks? Well, I mean, listen, this is the business of the NBA. You build your team and you take that team and you play it against the field that's out there. You don't allow yourself to cower at the notion of rebuilding. Every process had to be built. Whatever it is that you're going to have has to be structured. Therefore, the building process begins. Now, if you want to cheat that process, you're going to get results that come with cheating that process, which is not very much. If you look at the teams that have made it to the finals and won the championship, they're teams that have spent a good portion of their process building. Even if they got free agents that came to them, they came to a situation where the players were already there. So I don't know how many teams have been successful in doing what it is that we just did. Maybe Boston, when you think about the Boston Celtics with KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen, they might have been able to pull it off. You look at them, but who else? Miami? You know what I mean? I mean, how many LeBron James are coming around? At this point in time, we have the one that exists, and he may be a little older, but we're not going to be able to build a team around him the way that we tried to do it this year. So that's the only thing left to say. I think the Lakers need to just go ahead and rebuild and don't allow fear to keep them from doing so. Accept the fact that the mistakes were made, but don't continue to compound those mistakes by continuing down the path that you're on that isn't good enough. You're going to have to build at some point. You might as well do it when you're in the catbird seat as it pertains to having one of the most valuable pieces in the league, if not the most, in LeBron James. Now, I don't know what Anthony Davis can net you because his value right now is probably as low as it's been in his entire career. I'm not going to lie to you. I think we'd be very surprised at how lowballed we're going to get for Anthony Davis, because if the league is paying attention to him, then they'll understand that although he's an NBA champion and we appreciate his talent level, at this stage in his career going into year 11, we pretty much understand who he is. He's a guy who is going to give you a heart attack every time he hits the floor. Anytime he hits the ground, you're going to wonder if it's an injury. And 1 out of those 4 times, it is an injury. Those other times are just scares. But that 1 out of 4, he's going down. He's going to be out for a month. Now, mind you, when he's out there, he half-asses it. Some nights he's really, really great. Some nights he gives it 15 points. And so it's like you work that into the equation. The conditioning, which comes from the fact that he's always hurt. So it's like I don't think his value is what it was when we traded for him. In fact, I don't think it's half of that right now. And if I'm looking at him, if I'm say Boston, maybe I would have offered you Jaylen Brown. I would have never gave you Jason Tatum. But maybe I would have gave you Jaylen Brown at the end of the season. But right now, you ain't getting Jaylen Brown for Anthony Davis right now. Not if I'm running the team. No. No, I got to see him play well again. I want to see him get another 50-point game again, or string together about 5 or 6 30-point games before I'm ready to give him a price tag that's anything like what the Lakers paid. I'm just being honest. So it's like, this is something the Lakers have to be real about when they go to try to assess who they're going to trade and who they're going to keep. Because Russell Westbrook's trade value is bad. Anthony Davis' trade value is bad for his standards. But LeBron James, still LeBron James. His value doesn't fluctuate. That's the most valuable piece in the league. You should be able to get anything you want for him. Except for mainstays like Giannis. I don't believe you'll be able to pull off a Giannis for Bron trade today. I don't think you can do that. I would be very surprised if we tried to structure our whole entire thing around getting Jokic for LeBron James. I'd be very surprised if Denver did that. You see what I'm saying? Those are the players that come to mind. You're probably not going to be able to pull off getting Kevin Durant unless they both agree they want to be in those opposite spots. That's the only way you're going to get that done. You see what I'm saying? But other than that, you can get anybody you want. Name them. You can have anybody. And that's the point. So it's like, I'm not saying that LeBron James is somebody I would ever consider trading under normal circumstances. But for the specifics of these circumstances, when literally the only thing we have worth having is him, like that's the only piece we really have that is valuable. The rest of our pieces don't hold any value at all. So it's like, you can give away the golden goose of the league and leave yourself a month, like 4 quarters, and try to build forward. But even that seems bleak, given the fact that you're not, in a position to say you have a great structure and a history of making good decisions. So, it's like you give the Lakers what comes in the return for LeBron James. You give us a good return, and then you say, okay, now what are you going to do with that? And that's the problem that I have. And we've talked about this as well. This isn't a new thought, but that's just the issue I have with this team right now. It's just like, okay, if I'm going to do that, do I trust they're going to not strike out with these picks? Do I trust that they're going to make the right decisions in attracting the right free agent? Do I trust that they're going to? Nah, the answer is no. No. So I've restructured my thought. I'm going to tell you the truth. That's what all of this has come to. I actually do not think that I want this front office to trade LeBron James this offseason. No. I want LeBron James to stay for another year. Because it's going to take a whole year for Jeannie to restructure this entire front office, which is what needs to happen. I don't think she's going to be able to do it between now and this October. It's going to take longer than that to fully assess and properly put the right people in place. It's going to take more than a year. So I think LeBron James is going to have to give us one more year for the betterment of our circumstances, as I see it. We're going to need one more year out of Bron to mask all of the problems of this front office while she figures out if she wants to do that or not, and then proceeds to get it done. Because if she doesn't do that, and she does trade Bron and AD, and she does receive that return, I'm concerned she's going to fumble it. And I say she because of the people she has in place. She's going to have to get the right people in place for that. It's not just important to receive something great. It's also important to be great when you receive it. To be right for what it is that you would receive. And I think that when we took on LeBron James, I think the Lakers were in a position to do something great with him. And that's why we ultimately ended up winning a championship. We had a bunch of young kids that we could either trade or keep that could help us get there. And we opted to trade those pieces for a big-time Anthony Davis piece, and we went on and got the ring. That was us being in firm position to do something good for what it is we were receiving. Right now, we can't hardly do nothing with LeBron James. And anything we trade for LeBron James, if we receive that, probably can't do nothing with it either. You got to change the we so that we can do something good with whatever it is we get. You see what I'm saying? So that's going to be the thing for the Lakers, man. That's what it is. We got to figure that out. We got to figure that out. Fix the we. Fix that front office. Make sure that the people in place are in position to do good with what it is that you have. And then we can start talking about being champions again. But until we fix the front office, until we get into a situation where we're not dragging our feet on decisions, where we're not second guessing whether or not something's bad and replace it, or all of those different things that should have been done. Small ball, old, ways of playing the game still being followed here when the game has changed since. It's like, no. We need to catch up to the times, and we need to stop living in the past. We need to get people in place who know what they're doing. We need to empower them to do what it is that needs to be done. And then we can, we'll see the results that we're looking for. Athletes are going to play. That's what I've learned after damn near 30 years of watching basketball. Athletes are going to play. You put an athlete in a situation that fits that athlete, and they're going to do what they can do. And if they can't get it done, it's going to be either because their health isn't in order, or their body isn't reacting properly to whatever's going on, or they got some personal stuff that is distracting them. Other than that, just give an athlete a basketball. They're going to run. It's making sure the people in place that put those athletes in position to do things on the court are thinking properly, or are properly doing things that makes the difference, I've found. Because at the end of the day, the athletes are just going to do what the athletes do. They're going to use their talent against somebody else's talent. It's how you structure those pieces that ultimately determine the results that you get. A lot of people think it's superstars that win championships. I agree. But if you put a superstar in a situation like this, they can't get into the play-in tournament. Case in point. It takes more than that. So, that's what I got to say, man. My rant is pretty much over with. Like I said, this season is pretty much over with. And I just think the Los Angeles Lakers need to start thinking about what they're going to do in terms of making themselves a viable franchise without LeBron James. Making themselves, not to say that it takes LeBron James leaving to do that, but look at our circumstances. How else are we supposed to get what we need? It's either that or just run LeBron James into the ground and have nothing, absolutely nothing to show for that. Not to say that he would even allow that. So, just give it some thought, y'all. That's what I got. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.